Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I, Dr. S.K. Pandey, the Dean Academics at Indian Institute of Management Rohtak, and my colleague, Professor Rupika Khanna, will be addressing you regarding the IIM culture, the dominant pedagogy that we use, and the rest of the things. Do I also get the chat? Okay. So some of you might be aware of that the dominant pedagogy that we follow is called the case method. In schooling, the teaching is a little different. Many of you will be coming to do post graduation from colleges which are predominantly engineering colleges where lecture method is followed. So the faculty comes prepared with a particular topic, and then they try and tell what is there in the topic, and mostly the students are passive learners. They listen to it and they try to take notes, etc. This is just the opposite of what you can expect in an Indian Institute of Management Rohtak. The before the class there is a lot of reading material given so that the participants come well prepared to the class. Once they are there in the class, it is expected that they will try and do a lot of discussion with the faculty and their fellow colleagues to come to a particular conclusion. What we teach in an IIM, that's also something to be known. We teach decision making because managers are paid for taking decisions, and we try to teach the right scientific method of taking decisions. Hence, if decisions are to be taken, there is an important methodology that has to be followed to take those decisions. One should be aware of the problem. One should know what are the alternatives. There should be a mechanism to evaluate those alternatives and put them in some kind of a pecking order. And then the best alternative has to be selected, and then there has to be an implementation of the best alternative. So since it is difficult for us to take you to the best learning is what happens in a field. Some of you might have done engineering, some of you might have been a medical student. So how does a person become a surgeon? You would know that the person does initially uh, operations on a dead body and then some living animals before they can graduate and do some operations on live human beings. So in this scenario, if you were to take decisions for companies, the best way would have been to get into a company and learn on the job. But since that is not possible during the 2 years except for the 2 months summer training, we bring the company to the class. So there would be a case that will bring some kind of a situation regarding a real company where you as a person would be supposed to take some kind of a decision. So in this manner, you will do what a doctor does in a training college, in a medical college, before the person graduates to become a full-fledged doctor. So similarly, in this, the best and the most important thing to remember in this pedagogy is that the class depends on you. The better the preparation, the better people come prepared with the decisions to be taken and the reasons of why those decisions needs to be taken, the better is the discussion in class. So uh, the most important ingredient, therefore, for a good class discussion is the students' preparation. And we put a lot of emphasis on students coming well prepared to the class, coming on time, and acting and behaving as if they were the real protagonist in the real situation. In fact, in the class, many a times the faculty members would ask you your name, though they don't mean to ask the real name. They want you to act or behave like the protagonist in the case. So you will have to respond by saying whosoever you are in the case, and what is the decision pertaining in the case, and how you are going to take that decision. So this is a short idea of what we generally do as a pedagogy. Sometimes we also go for simulation games. There are 3 simulation games at IIM Rohtak which are compulsory for each student to undergo. Simulation games provide even better environment, because in this there are real decisions to be taken for a company, and it is a competitive environment, because your decisions, you may have taken a good decision but somebody may have taken a better decision. So therefore they in somehow simulate the actual market environment where teams take decisions, and they try to compete against each other for customers, for market share, and so on and so forth. So therefore simulations are also, along with the case pedagogy, are the dominant method. The bottom line of all these method is that it is students centric learning, and engagement and involvement of the participants in the learning method is of paramount importance for any fruitful learning to take place. With this, I would like my colleague Professor Rupika Khanna to delve on culture.
So I'm going to be covering 2 points here. One is the IIM culture, and then how should you be preparing for life inside an IIM. I had a slide, but due to technical problems, we couldn't upload it. But I have a couple of points written in front of me that I'm going to cover. So first point for life inside an IIM is what can you expect life to be inside an IIM classroom. So you expect a lot of diversity. Now this diversity could be in two forms. There's a discipline diversity. So there are graduates, undergraduates from all walks of life. They could be commerce students, engineering students. Uh, you know, there are doctors, there are dentists, there are horticulturists, and so on and so forth. Also, speaking from a very cultural point of view, we have, for example, in our 10th PGP batch, a number of Hindustani music performers. Strangely, there are also a few dexterous magicians in the batch. There are sports persons. So when you're in a group which is so diverse, it's otherwise very difficult to put all these diverse people in one lot and to find them in one lot. There's a learning that happens, there's a different kind of learning that happens when you are surrounded by such diversity. Now, speaking about IIM Rohtak specifically, we also have a very good gender mix where around 50% of our 10th batch is composed of girls. So that in some way, creates a very equitable environment inside the classroom. Uh, Next is the morning 8:44:59 deadline that you have for entering your classes. Now we have biometric attendance, so that's one way where you get to learn the importance of time deadlines. You could also have and expect pretty much the 11:59:59 deadlines for your project submissions. uh, you know uh, so so the importance of time is something that is pretty much emphasized upon. There's a symbiotic exchange happening inside the classroom between students and course instructors, where the faculty is constantly on its toes because everybody in the classroom is so curious. And I think that is the only way to go about a mutual learning experience inside the classroom, where it's not just the students who do the homework, but the faculty is equally responsible for doing its homework to make sure that the class is successful. Now, library culture inside NIM, we have a 24 into 7 library, and that's something that's very crucial to life inside an IIM, because the library never sleeps. Like they say that the dragon never sleeps. So the library is pretty much the dragon of life inside an IIM. We have a 5-story library coming up, and we are due to shift in a month or two to the new library building, which is we expect to be the most happening side of the campus. Now, life outside the classroom. When you're in an IIM, you can expect for the first year especially, we have our classrooms sessions ending before lunch. So once the before lunch class sessions are over, I mean, you can't ever call it a day then. That's when the real exercise starts, because you have a lot of assignments to do, you have a lot of case studies to read, to solve, and that's when I think the real learning happens. Both as I was in the shoes of an IIM scholar once upon a time, and now an IIM faculty. And I think as a student, most of my learning actually happened outside the classroom, because that's the time when you're, by way of discussions with your colleagues, with your friends, in the library, on the walkways, that's when you are having real conversations about the concepts that you've, learned in the classroom, and it gives you an opportunity to, in some way, internalize all those lessons, because tomorrow when you're going to be managers, nobody is going to be with you. Also, there's going to be incomplete information everywhere. Just to philosophically get accustomed to the idea of, taking decisions when the information is incomplete, that's something that, only that can only happen when you're given a conducive environment, not just inside the classroom but also outside the classroom. Uh, my fourth and last point under IIM culture is weekends at IIM. So your typical weekend will be, you running after your project deadlines, or maybe some submission deadlines. So it's never a boring weekend that you can expect in an IIM. It's always a very fulfilling, a very messy kind of a weekend, where you always have some kind of agenda on your mind running, and so it's never boring. Now, just to put it in one line, an IIM, culturally speaking, is not just a place of graduation. In fact, I think it's a lifestyle in itself. An IIM never sleeps. You can find, even at 2:30 in the night, you'll find students running all, over the place for their deadlines, for their submissions, for their work, for their quiz preparations, and so on and so forth. Now, this was about the IIM culture. My next bit is going to be about how do you prepare for a life inside an IIM. Because you have a couple of months left, before these classes begin. So, how should you be utilizing this time? So my suggestion to you is brush up your class 12th mathematics, because most of the courses that you're going to have in the first year and also in the second year are going to be mathematic, oriented. So it will just make you comfortable with those courses if you brush up your basic maths. Also basic statistics. Try to brush it up so that you're just more prepared for what happens in the class and the curriculum. My third suggestion to you is read, read, read. Be a voracious reader, because for life inside an IIM, if you get your case study at let's say 8 p.m. and tomorrow the next morning at 8:45 you have a class, you've got to. I mean, the instructor will expect you to read a 30-page long case study. So unless you are in the habit of reading voraciously, you will not be comfortable, and you will not be able to enjoy this process of, reading and comprehending and internalizing what's written in the case. So just read and get comfortable with the art of reading fast, and also without losing comprehension at the same time. And I think all those things are in some way going to help you enjoy this journey to the full, because these 2 years are, going to be the best time of your life, because everything is so jam packed. It will almost feel like a roller coaster ride, especially the first year when you have absolutely no time, and but then still, things are just moving. Day by day, you'll feel that deadlines are happening, and you're also somehow, just keeping up with the flow, and that's the beauty of it. So yeah, that's from my side.
Good afternoon, friends. My name is Ajay Singh. I am the manager admissions, and he is Mr. Deepak Bhardwaj. He is the programmer of IT team. So we'll take your queries one by one.
Anmol, you are saying, please tell why the edited details are not being reflected in the final form. Dear, editing is appear edit during the final submission of your form. Once you submit your form, and a preview option will give you to just judge that the details which was filled by you is correct or not. In that case, you can edit it and save the uh, information which you have, enter it. Then after, if you will save it, just continue with the instruction, the detail would be get saved in the database.
Shiva, definitely you can share your concern with us on our email ID. Shraddha, organizational achievements are for working professional actually. Whatever you have achieved during your during in a company, it could be like best employee of the month or best employee of the year. You can fill that kind of thing in your form.
Subhajyoti, you are saying there are several subjects in BTech. You need to just enter the branch, which from which branch you did your BTech. No need to enter the subjects.
You will get the city preference after 21st. There we are conducting interviews in 5 cities: Rohtak, Delhi, Bangalore, Mumbai, and Kolkata.
Neha, the fee structure is already on the website. You can check it on the websites amrohtak.ac.in.
And one more thing, it is same for everyone, whether it is SC, ST, or general category.
Ashish, you are saying you click on the cast adjacent to the DAP tick. Will it matters? If you click and you are in that category, definitely it matters.
Aditi, you should mention all these activities, whatever you have the proof.
My degree marks were missing after saving. Veda Vyas, I think last time also you were there. You can mail me that the details. I'll let you know the details which you have entered is in available in our database or not, and or you can keep it blank because that is not necessary. We can verify it from the CAT database itself. We have the all the fields detail which you have entered into the CAT application form. That the fields which you have mentioned, schools and colleges, are just to verify the details. If you will not enter the detail, that is also fine.
Yeah, WAT-PI it will take all 3 days. You can check any of the date, and you will get the preference, first preference or the second preference definitely.
Parag, subject for commerce, should I enter all subject? No need to enter the all subject. You need to enter the discipline only.
Ria, definitely there is a scholarship, but NSP is offering that scholarship, and you have to apply for that scholarship if you are seeking admission in IIM Rohtak.
Sushmita, you do not need to enter the anything in the organizational section. You can keep the blank.
Soren, you can share the technical problems, whatever you are facing with us. We have already mentioned the email ID. It's pgpadmission@iimrohtak.ac.in.
Soren, you are saying that there is a slightly mistake in the name of your father. A gap is missing. Will it matter? That is not a matter, dear, but the detail which was submitted by you, that is saved in the database.
No, there will not be a further shortlisted. Every candidate, whatever they have got the mail, they are shortlisted for VAT and PI, and the student who will do the registration, they will be called for VAT and PI.
Sharda already informed you in the extracurricular section. The 100 character include the white space. If you not enter, that is also fine. That is not required.
Ashwin, as you mentioned, you have a OBC certificate, but I don't have no creamy layer certificate. In that case, you will be considered under general category.
Akshita, no further shortlisted happen after the registration. No, any mail will not forward to the referees right now. Subrajyoti.
Definitely, all the registered candidates will be called for VAT and PI process. And selection will be based on your CAT score, VAT and PI process, and diversity.
Basam, we are not understanding what you are going to be asked. Will VAT and PI take place on the same day? Please elaborate.
Basam, VAT and PI will take place on the same day. So we have VAT and PI from 10th February to 21st February across the country. And you can choose any of the date and any of the place, and definitely you will get your first preference or the second preference.
Rajdeep already informed you here, you can enter any transaction ID which is correct or the status is okay. If the one transaction ID is failed, then that case you must enter the second one. Already given the answer.
Yes, there are 22,000 students are shortlisted for IIM Rohtak admission process, but the students who will complete the registration process will be called for WAT and PI process.
Shrey, you are a dual degree student, integrated course you have done. You have the 10th semester. You can enter the 8th semester detail into the graduation detail and the one for the professional. You can select the other and enter the marks in a annual years.
Piece of my brain, there are total 264 seats, and there it's IIM Rohtak. So there is a tough competition in IIMs.
Mohit, you do not need to enter the organizational section details if you don't have. That is for the experienced candidate. Rohit, I think number of time I have taken your query and again you are writing your Rohit, your cat ID belongs to DAP general categories, everything is fine with it? Yes.
Dexter Morgan, there is no need to send hard copy.
Jerav, we do not need to scan anything. Or for the signatures, yes, you can.
Vaibhav, if you would like to show us some documents or your achievement, definitely you can carry your documents for WAT and PI process, but it's not mandatory.
Dexter, you do not need to send any hard copy, dear. Devesh, EWS category is already mentioned in the last as well. And once you select the EWS category, that means that is saved into the database during the time of personal information.
Aditya, we will consider the information as per the CAT data. So if you have mentioned your name incorrect in CAT data, so please rectify your name in IIM Rohtak data.
Dexter, you do not need to send any hard copy of the document to IIM Rohtak.
Total 264 seats are there. WAT and PI will be conducted between 10th February to 21st February, and it will be across 5 locations: Rohtak, Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore and Kolkata.
After extracurricular activity fill up, you will directly redirect on the fee section. Sai, I already have given the query.
Krishnath Natarajan. Hello sir, I registered for CAT under general category. Then you will be considered under general category only.
Navdeep, in that case, you said first year or you have the back end clear in the third year, you can mention the repeat.
Jairaj, for work experience, you need to provide the work experience letter.
Sai already informed you here. Once you will get the printout of the application form after final submit, that means your application submitted, a pop-up message already generated on that case.
Varun, it's not mandatory to carry original documents, but if you want to showcase some of your achievement, then definitely you can. Yes, there will be a weightage for work X in the interview round. Definitely, panel will give some weightage to work experience.
Mohit, you are saying I am having a work experience. How can it fill in school or college level? You do not need to enter into the college level. You have to enter the experience in the experience field only.
Devendra, there will not be any second phase of shortlisting. This is the final shortlisting for WAT and PI process, and candidate who will register, they will be called for WAT and PI.
Yes, Dexter, you have to enter the aggregate percentage of 8 semester as per the university norms.
Ashwin, you are saying ki you have mentioned NC OBC in CAT certificate, whereas I have no creamy certificate. In that case, you will be considered under general category only if you don't have the NC OBC certificate.
No issue, Jairaj, you can enter the experience into the experience field.
Jairaj, you need to provide work experience letter only. We don't require any type of salary slips.
Rajdeep already answered your query, dear. If you have paid the amount 2 times and one time your amount transaction is failed, in that case, the bank will refund your money into your account.
Jyoti, for work experience, only work experience letter will be considered, nothing else.
Rohini, you can enter it till Jan.
In Delhi, WAT and PI dates are 10th February to 15th February, and for Kolkata, it's 17 and 18 February.
Sai, you can update your experience.
After 21st, Mrunal, after 21st, you will get an email for WAT and PI.
Shraddha, you do not need to enter the engineering subject. You have to enter the branch name only. Dexter, you can mention the aggregate percentage, what you have achieved in that.
Suresh, you can mail us on our PGP admission office email ID and we'll check your status.
Suresh, in that case, the application number which you have received, you are not entering the application number, my dear. You have to enter the application number that you received on your mail ID. You do not need to enter the CAT ID details. If you enter the CAT ID details, you will get the message you are not offered the admission list.
Sunanda, you can enter your latest experience detail. If you was not employed at the time of CAT, then you can mention your latest position in our form.
Sai, you are not giving any work experience letter. I am fresher. Can we submit the payslip? No, dear. Yes, Rohit, you can bring it the DAP certificate. Okay, let's close that. Now we are not receiving any such much queries. If you have, just share it one more time. Otherwise, we are just closing that.